back to Teen Talks. We are here to talk about the words we use with our kids. Sometimes the words we use aren't the best. We really need to be mindful because the words we use, what was the sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Totally BS. That is total BS. I don't know where that came from, but that is not true.
Yeah.
The words we use can cut a knife into our kids if we don't think about the words and how to phrase things.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we really need to be aware of. And if we catch ourselves saying something that we want to pull back, oh, I didn't need to say that, we need to immediately apologize. So I know I'm going straight into this, but it's powerful. It really is important.
Yeah.
And
No, it is.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I wanted to just piggyback off of that. Like, you know, a kid, a kid's like upbringing is what like that's when the kid's like brain is developing. The kid is creating memories and storing them. And that is what builds them to be who they are when they're adults. And, they might not realize it when they're younger, but when they get to a certain age, all of that stuff actually, accumulates and catches up to them. And I'm kind of going through something similar right now where, there are things that happened to me when I was younger that I am just now associating to certain behaviors that I have today, right? Because I do a lot of like self-reflection and stuff, and sometimes I wonder, I'm like, what? Why do I think this way? Why do I feel this way? Why do I do this? Like, what are the reasons? And I'm able to go back, into when I was like a younger little me, like mini me, and remember like these little moments where I experienced something or I saw something or someone said something to me and it actually impacted me because for that to stay in my head and for me to be able to remember that, it means that it did have some impact on me. And like, I mean, relationship between the parents and the kids is one that you don't want to have any of that negativity between the two of you, right? So, it's super important to not like to just be really careful about what you say, how you say things, whether that's just the words that you use or how you tell them things, what you say to them, because that has a really big impact immediately, but also really long term as well.
Yeah, it also that when I was young, my brother and I was the oldest and he's a couple years younger than me, and we're growing up, and I was always daddy's little girl. My dad was the best dad ever, but he protected me too much. And he would say things which I didn't even realize, but I've always had this thing of I'm not worthy of making a lot of money. Okay. This has followed me for a long time. I'm not worthy of making a lot of money. Now, my brother, he's doing really well. He's making lots of money. There's no problem with that.
Yeah.
I go back and I look and I'm thinking, my dad always took care of me. My dad would say to me things like, oh, I'll pay for that. Or, that's okay. I'll get this for you. Or my brother's still mad at me, or not me, but he'd be like, yeah, when I graduated from college, you got a ring and you got all this stuff and everything, and I got a 6-pack of beer. Because my dad always would be like, and he didn't mean it in a bad way, but when you think about it, it was just like he didn't allow me to understand that I'm capable.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas my brother, he's a boy, he's a man, so he's got to be the one who earns. And it's old school thinking.
Yeah.
But it affected me. And so, he didn't even mean to do anything like that. But so the words, that's the words.
Yeah.
I would have been better off if he would have let me figure
Mm-hmm.
out how to make money.
Yeah. And it's interesting what you mentioned right there is like, the intention wasn't to hurt you in any way. The intention
Mm-mm.
was just like he loved you, right? that, and the
Mhm.
intention was to show you that love. But no matter what your intention is, how it comes across is what matters, right?
Right.
How it's
Yeah.
interpreted by the other person, that's what matters. That's what makes the difference. So,
Mhm.
sometimes we just have to take a step back and just ask ourselves, like, what could I be saying? Almost put ourselves in their shoes even, and like
Mhm.
ask ourselves, like, what could I be saying to them, or what message can I be passing on to them that might be harming them right now and in the future, you know?
Mhm.
And it could be something very subtle. It could be, I don't know, something that changes the way they believe, and they have that self-belief within themselves of, your situation was about money. It could be something about, believing in themselves for later on when it comes to their career or their dream or their passion or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You really don't know what impact that could have, like an example that I can think of right now is, imagine a parent who has a kid who plays a sport, let's say basketball, right? And on the sidelines is constantly telling that kid, like, oh, do this, what are you doing? Like, wake up, do your all that stuff, like getting, while the
I've
game is
heard those
happening,
parents do that. Yep.
right?
Mhm.
So that happens, and then what that could translate into in the future is that kid always doubting, their performance in life, whether that's like in school or with their career or in sports, whatever it is. They might
I'm
always be
not good
thinking
enough.
like, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing
Yeah.
enough. Maybe I'm not
Yeah.
good. Like all that. So you never know. And obviously the parents that are yelling at telling their kids like to how to play and do all that stuff, it's all out of love. They want them to do the best possible that they can do, like all that stuff. But it could be harming them,
Yeah.
right? So that's
It's
something to think
it's
about.
it's like, oh, you're so smart. You're so smart. I'm just thinking, and then they do something maybe that they don't feel smart
Mm,
of, and then they're like, he's it's not true.
yeah.
I mean, it'd be better to say, you work so hard, you put in this great effort, and look at what you get out of it. It's great,
Yeah.
instead of instead of who they are, it's
Mm,
rather what they do
yes.
instead of who they are. So
Yeah.
you're praising what they do, their effort. You're
Yeah.
praising their ability to communicate well, or something, something that they're doing
Yeah.
that's positive, but not who they are, because it
Mm,
changes the dynamic later, because if they don't live up to
yeah.
that who they are, then
Hmm.
they're like, I'm not. It almost
Yeah.
is a reverse thing. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's
But
so true. Like let them choose their identity, but support them when it comes to what they're doing, right?
mhm,
Like acknowledge what they do, but let them
yeah,
choose their identity, because if you choose their identity for them, then they have to live up to that,
yeah,
and that's tough.
it
That's
is tough.
tough because they didn't choose. They didn't say like that they wanted to be that way, right?
Right. Yeah.
But so let them almost choose the way that they see themselves, who they are. Let them decide who they want to be, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But acknowledge the things that they do well. Acknowledge the action that they take, the progress that they make, right? But don't, I would say refrain. And this is like advice from a 21-year-old. So grain of salt if you want. But like refrain from almost like defining them with words, you know?
Yeah.
Good or bad. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's oh, you wow, you got that A on that test. You're so smart, instead of that. Or, oh, you are just an amazing soccer player. You always score the goals,
Yeah.
something like that. Instead, flip it and, you scored that goal because you practiced so hard to get there. You
Mm,
practiced to be better. You've practiced and put the effort in to get to be that good of a soccer player.
yeah.
Uh,
Thank you,
you
Susan. Thank
I
you.
saw you studying.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's you. Um, I saw you working hard over there, like really studying for that test, and that's why you did well. Good job. You put the effort in, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. What are some other situations that, for the parents who are watching and listening, where it would be a good idea to frame things differently or just say things differently, or even maybe take a step back and think about what they're going to say before they do anything or say anything
yeah.
to help with that, that communication to choose the right words and expressions.
What I think we also need to be careful is that when the situation gets heated or whatever, that we be careful not to engage in that
Mm,
space. Because, especially when we have teenagers, things get crazy. They do things and you're just either worried about them, or you're like, why the heck would they do that, or whatever. It's because they're growing and they're trying to figure things out, for one.
yeah,
And to get mad about it and get angry and say words that are punitive, it just makes it worse. You
yeah.
know, you can come at it with more empathy,
Mm,
empathize rather than sympathize. Oh, you're so sad. Oh, well, get over it. Just don't don't let that get to you. Instead, say some, yeah, I see that you're not feeling good, or you seem kind of down. I know how that feels. Sometimes that happens to me too. What's going on? Can I
mm,
help you? Do you need a hug? And to rephrase to where you're coming at them from empathy. And then if they're angry and you're angry, then don't even talk.
yeah,
Just say, we're angry right now. This isn't a good time.
yeah.
Let's go calm down and we'll come back and talk later. Or,
Mm-hmm.
I can see you're really upset. I can see you're really upset and I understand.
Yeah.
Or um maybe they did something wrong. Maybe they did something that they shouldn't have done.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, I can't believe you did that, you're just da, 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 da. And I've heard parents say this.
Yeah.
I've said it before. you know, Instead of going at it that way, coming at like, okay, I see that you did something that probably shouldn't have done. What do you think? Why do you think that happened? Why do you think you did this? Is there something going on that I can help you with? Because obviously that wasn't the right choice you made. So, what are you going to learn from this? Or how
Yeah.
can we help going forward? Instead of the punitive,
Mm,
flip it as we all make mistakes. We all do things that we shouldn't do,
yeah.
instead of like beating them up for it, figure out how they can flip it and go, I don't want to do this again. Like,
Mm,
yeah, I messed up. It's not,
yeah.
it's not them. It's not their identity. It's something they did that they've
Mm,
regret now. So don't, it's not, I don't know. Punishment's a kind of a weird thing if we can go into that, but
yeah.
the words we use are huge. And
Yeah.
so I just really, as a parent, you really need to be aware, because the
Mm-hmm.
the words you use are either going to bring you closer, or
Yeah.
they're gonna want to be around you.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, nope. So there's those that are really obvious,
Yeah.
that are negative, and then there's the other ones that we don't even realize we're trying to be this great parent, but actually we're harming. So
Mm,
really think about that.
yeah. We've talked about this before, the importance of communication, and it is at the forefront of any relationship, and which is why it is so important, especially with your kids, to realize the importance of what you say, the words that you use, how you say things, um, because you know it matters. It matters,
Mm,
and it leaves, like, either you can leave your kid with emotional scars through your words, or you can, like you said, just bring the two of you together if you choose the right words and you frame things a certain way, you know? And again, we're not second guessing any of the intentions that you have as a parent. That's not what we're doing. We understand, like, all parents want the best for their kids,
mhm.
right? But sometimes you just have to frame things differently. You just have to go about it a different way so that it comes across better, so that you connect better with your teen. And
Yeah.
just one thing that I want to say, and that I'm thinking of right now, is your teen is their, like, they are their own person, right? They aren't you, which means that they actually might need to receive information a different way than how you used to receive information when you were a kid, or how you think is best for you to give the information to them. And that's another thing to consider is, you know them, you know your teen, you know what characteristics they have, you know about their personality, I'm sure you have experience of like, how they react to certain things and certain words and situations in life.
Hmm.
So think about that sometimes and be like, okay, in this particular situation, how should I approach it so that I don't hurt them in any way and I can actually connect with them to make the situation better, right? So yeah, almost step into their shoes and try and understand
Hmm.
like where they're coming from, what's going on in their head, and maybe play the game of like, okay, if I say this, how could they react? Okay, but if I say
Hmm.
this, then how could they react? And then just choose what you think is best when it comes to how they'd react and the growth that they can experience through that.
Exactly. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and sometimes, you think about we were all brought up by our parents.
Mm,
And oftentimes I've caught myself too, where I'm like, oh, I just said what my mom said, or I just said what my dad said.
yeah.
And oops, I probably shouldn't have said that, because that's just the way we were brought up.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes we have to break the cycle of
Mm,
possibly, some things our parents didn't do well. So don't repeat it,
yeah.
go, okay, this doesn't need to continue. I'm the one who's going to stop doing this,
Yeah.
you know, and, the, sometimes our egos get to us,
Mm,
and we also feel like, well, we're the know-it-alls. We're the ones who know it all. And we're afraid to apologize.
yeah.
And there's nothing better you can do for your teen, especially, but for your child,
Mm,
is to be humble
yeah.
and apologize and say you made a mistake,
Yeah.
because we all do.
Yeah.
And get some of it, the ego has to go away.
Mm,
And you just have to, as a parent, yes, you're a person and we all have an ego, but sometimes when your child is your most important asset in most cases. I mean, that's, my kids are the most important thing to me,
yeah.
other than my husband. And their needs come first in a
Mm,
way. I mean, you have needs, but when it comes to being humble and there for them, put the ego at the door and be willing to say, I'm wrong. I was wrong.
yeah.
I shouldn't have done that. I am so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
It goes a long way.
It
And it
does.
allows them to realize they can make mistakes too, and they can apologize.
Yeah.
You're modeling normal human behavior, that when they get older and they're not under your wing anymore, they're
Yeah.
going to be that way with other people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I have one thing that came to mind. My grandmother, it was her birthday, like on January 2nd, if
mhm.
I'm not mistaken. That's bad. I don't even remember it
He's
from
a
the
new
top.
year baby.
Yeah. We obviously wished her and everything in our like family group chat, and she messaged back, and at the end of her message, she said, "I'm sorry if I've said anything or done anything to hurt any of you." And
Mm,
it's she hasn't, for me at least. She's amazing. She's an amazing person. But it's interesting that, she just turned 80 years old. So now she's looking back and that's what she's thinking about, you
yeah,
know? She wants to make sure that, she hasn't hurt anyone. And she specifically mentioned, she wanted to apologize for anything that she has said,
yeah.
right? So that's just to piggyback off of what you just said about apologizing now, it's better to do it now, I think, in any situation,
Oh,
right? Just
yeah.
kind of own up to it and just apologize now
Hmm.
because you know, it's better than never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or thinking about it later, I should have, or
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You
why
don't want to
didn't
have
I?
that regret. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No. And just think of the outcome it has for your child and the connection it builds. It connection when
Mm,
you are vulnerable, and you connect, and you're showing apologies, and you're showing that you are human, and
yeah.
they're just going to love you even more,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
100%.
words matter.
They do.
Be
That's
careful
the
what
so So at the end of the day, what we're trying to say is words matter.
Yes, words matter. So how you talk to your kids
Yeah.
matters. So
So say
be,
please, say thank you, say I love you, and you'll be good to go.
and I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
Oh,
for saying please and thank you. I love you. Bye.
mhm. That reminds me of uh, Apana Ono. Up. It's I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's from GYLS.
It is. It's also, yeah, it's actually it's a Hawaiian.
It's Hawaiian, yeah.
It's a Hawaiian blessing
Yeah.
that we should be saying
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And
Yeah.
it can be said in any order. The order doesn't matter, but those 4 things are key.
Perfect. Perfect way to end this podcast.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that this helped. And we'll see you all next week. Feel free to like, to comment, to subscribe to this channel. It really helps us out. And yeah, we just want to keep growing this. So feel free to share your support and well, give your support and share this with other people.
And if you want my top 5 tips for raising teens well, put a lot of effort into it.
In
There's
the
lots in
description.
there. It's a free download for you, a 10-page PDF that's got 5 tips and a few more, and some resources for you as well. So
Yeah, check that out for sure. And it's
yeah,
free.
it's free.
So just like more value in your life.
Yeah.
Why not? Alrighty.
Okay.
Take care, everyone. We love you
All
all.
right.
And we'll see you next week. Peace.